All right, good morning. Good morning. Come in, grab a seat. Welcome to 1 Million Cups, guys. We've got some great presenters today as we celebrate the art of entrepreneurship here at the Art Museum. Who's here for the first time by a show of hands? This little pack right here in the middle. You guys are all together. Neat. And who here is an entrepreneur? Entrepreneurs all around? You guys are a special breed. You know all the headaches and heartaches that come with owning your own business, and I'm sure that you can give good insight to these presenters today, and we look forward to that, because entrepreneurship is an art. 1 Million Cups is a free weekly program designed to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs. It's developed by the Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City. If you guys want to find out more, you can go to 1millioncups.com, and more specifically, 1millioncups.com/Springfield, if you ever want to apply to present. This thing is put on every week by 5 wonderful people, and this is not updated because we have a new organizer. Anyway, LaDonna Granger is going to be our newest organizer. Guys, welcome LaDonna with a big show of applause. Otherwise, we have Philip Baird, Craig Jameson, Jennifer Simpson DeCamp, Deb Bellotti. Will be celebrating her last week shortly, and then myself, Jonathan Putnam. We have these sponsors that make the meetings possible and caffeinated. Brick and Mortar Coffee, my coffee company, thank you. Database Systems, Springfield Art Museum, and Spark Events. Database provides those amazing computers out front, guys. If you have a Mac and you need service or need support or need a new Mac, check out Database. They have the best prices in town, all the good stuff, and the best customer service. Really good guys have been there forever who know how to work on that. Of course, the Springfield Art Museum. Nick's out of town this week. We love the venue. Makes the thing feel like a TED Talk. Definitely love that. And of course, Spark Events. Bryce over here in the corner, running the show. Yeah. Lastly, we want you guys to connect with us. Facebook, Twitter. We get the weekly videos up. Then we also have a... what do we call that? Something? Yeah, Medium. Thank you. The refill station, 1 Million Cups, SGF for most of those. Hashtag 1 Million Cups SGF, guys. If you tweet during the show, it's going to be right up here on the side. And with that, I'm going to introduce Colin McAllister with McAllister Coaching. Guys, give him a big round of applause.
Good morning. You're probably wondering what a gray-haired guy like me is doing a place like this. But I'm going to tell you. We go back to 2009. As of that time, I'd been in business world for about 47 years, 35 of those as a serial entrepreneur. Another 2 years I spent at a successful turnaround of a public company, and the other 10, well, I was just too young, didn't know enough, and worked for somebody else. Done business in 17 different countries, and I've had successes and quite a few failures. And of course, the failures is what you learn from. Move on and don't do it again. Some of the successes I've had in technology and software, innovative software. I've done a air charter business. I've done a commercial laundry. I started a service bureau, which is the forerunner of the cloud now. So I've done a bunch of stuff, and some of my dramatic failures. I lived in the Virgin Islands for 13 years, and I did a muffler repair, a muffler franchise. And if you figure that Caribbean lifestyle and repairing automobiles are just an oxymoron, it just doesn't work. So I lost my shirt on that one. So bottom line, guys, I've been there, done that. That's my point here. Ton of experience. So I decided, okay, after I sold my last business in 2009, I decided, what the heck, I'll try retirement, which I did, and it was okay. We got some stuff off the bucket list. My wife and I traveled, and we did a lot of not-for-profit stuff. But you know what? I just missed that, whatever you get from winning in business. So I decided I need to do something else. So in 2015, I decided to launch McAllister Coaching. And I did that because, one, I didn't want to have much investment, and two, I didn't want any employees. I don't want to deal with that anymore. And honestly, I've been doing this for probably 20 years anyway with business associates and friends and people like that. So the idea was to coach entrepreneurs, small business owners, and company executives. That's how I started out. But since in the last couple of 3 months, I've been getting calls from managers employing below the C level when you've got toxic employees and you've got a lousy boss, things of that nature. And then the object is to help facilitate business growth, overcome obstacles to success, and most important of all, help the individual be the best they can be. Here's my skill set. I'm not going to read it, but I want to point out I'm a reformed accountant, but I'm also pretty good at sales and marketing. So I'm right brain and left brain, so I argue myself a lot. And also, because my next pair of shoes is not coming from this venture, I can afford to be flexible on pricing. And as I said before, I've already been coaching for years. Here's how coaching works. To begin with, I do a lot of listening. And then you start reflecting back to the client so you're getting on the same page. Then you ask a lot of questions, you get to an understanding, and at that point you form a relationship. Without a relationship, this thing does not work. And it's got to be fun to some degree. And then you can go to suggesting alternatives, discussing them, joining in joint conclusions, and therefore you get the supportive partnership. There's a difference between consultant and coach, and I want to go through this, and I want to put it under the lens of riding a bike. So a consultant will tell you what's wrong with everything, but a coach will help you understand the problems you have doing it your way. Will tell you how to correct what you're doing wrong, but the coach will and you will work together to figure out a way. And if you want to pay the consultant, they'll ride the bike for you. But the coach will jog alongside you, championing you, cheering you on until you get it right. So the idea here is a consultant will focus on the problem only, where a coach focuses on you while they're addressing the problem. Here are some of my past and present clients. You probably recognize some of the faces. Here are the names that go with them. The reason I'm showing you this is that size doesn't matter when you're coaching. O'Reilly has 75,000 employees. The Litches down the bottom here have 2 employees, just Michelle and Aaron. Because I'm coaching the individual. It doesn't matter. Business principles are the same applied to each individual. The Jarretts, for instance, in Revel, they're rock stars right now without my help. They've done double-digit increase in revenue for the last 5 years. But what they haven't had, and they came to me, that they didn't backfill their corporate structure. So we've done that, and now they're ready for the next increase in revenue. Here's a few more. And quite a few of these clients are here today. And if you want to talk to them, they'll be down front and tell you their experiences in what we've accomplished. Here's some examples where a coach can help. I'm not going to read them all. I'll read a couple. As you guys know, starting a business is probably the toughest thing in business you'll ever do. I think you'll agree with that. So to have help along doing that, great idea. You need to come up for air. You've had your head down too long. Need a new vision. Second opinion's always good. You've forgotten to have a life outside business. How to crack an overseas market is different. How to figure an exit strategy. Everybody should have an exit strategy. Here's a few more. Presenting to investor group. Evaluate are you getting the right price for your company if you're going to sell it? You need additional capital. And this last 4 down here relate to individuals. C-level and managers and employees. Think about retiring. I did it, and it's not what you're going to expect. I'll tell you that. So here's my challenge. My challenge is that I've found I'm getting clients, yes, but coaching just doesn't seem to be on people's radar. I've got some ideas, but I really would enjoy some feedback from you guys in the QA time and see to give me help here. If you relate this to a sports situation, think about your favorite sports star, your favorite team, Little League, Saturday morning soccer for the kids, your golf game. Everybody has a coach. How can they not be the best they can be without a coach? So why does this not just flow over to the world of business? There's many different ways to arrive at a decision or a strategy. Another head on it, another pair of eyes on it, could be very helpful, in my opinion. And so in the way of sports, just with the analogy of sports, a coach coming alongside someone who is knowledgeable, has experience, someone you trust, somebody you get along with, somebody you respect, and has your best interests at heart, I think can be a good thing. And so just as in sports, in business, you can be the best you can be. With that, I'll turn it over to questions.
Colin, that was great. Thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, I'm acoustically challenged, okay? So when you're giving me questions, please speak right into the mic.
Guys who are new here, the Q&A section is the meat of each presenter's time. If you would raise your hand when you get a mic, one of the mic farriers will bring you the mic. Stand up and ask your question loud, in Colin's case. But this is where you want to ask probing questions, and keep it encouraging, keep it positive. And this is, like I said, this is what where we see your insight applied to his business. So, guys, with that, we're going to open up to questions. Raise your hands tall, and Arya and LaDonna will bring those mics to you.
I can't hear that one.
Hi, I'm Melanie Polsher, and I think it's great what you're doing. You're accomplishing a goal and feeling good about what you're doing. It's a wonderful thing. But you had kind of asked for some advice, and actually I was talking to another coach before the meeting out in the coffee room, and I just have a hard time understanding what a coach and a consultant do and how much they cost. So those two things, if you could pinpoint or somehow communicate that in some way.
We're talking about cost?
Cost, and also exactly, you've explained what you do here, but before your presentation, I really didn't understand coaching other than in a sports world. You kind of understand that what a coach is supposed to do, but to actually have it spelled out for a person kind of helps. I'm going to help you do these things like you showed in your presentation, but before the presentation, I may not have been aware of that and what a coach actually does.
Okay. Let me deal with the cost first. I'm going to speak for myself here on this. As I said, I'm flexible on pricing. It can go in, I don't want to be facetious here, but next to nothing to quite a lot. But the point is, I will always charge something because it has to have value. So if you've got an up-and-coming entrepreneur with very little capital, sure, I can work something out. And it could be as low as $7,500 an hour. But if you've got a going business that really is going well, and we're not just coaching the individual, but we're solving business problems at the same time while we're coaching, we can get into $250 an hour in that range. Does that answer your question on the price? And that's only in my, if you go elsewhere, you might get different answers. And again, on coaching, I think I just got to reiterate, you're coaching the individual. It's all coming alongside the individual. And every individual is different in some way. Yes, there's broad categories where you have right brain, left brain, and things like that. So as you're coaching somebody, you get to know them, and between the two of you, you understand what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. So you build up their strengths and their weaknesses. Yes, you help them too, but they've got to realize that they have to backfill that with somebody else in the organization, or hire somebody else. So If you're right brain and you're marketing, sales, and all that, and you hate doing accounting, then you need an accountant. And particularly when you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to do everything. So those weak points, that's the ones that you need to backfill or fill those positions with somebody else as soon as you can afford them.
Hi, Deb Wilson with Osteam, and I was just curious, what is the difference in coaching of a for-profit business and one for nonprofit business? Do you do the same kind of things, or how are they different in your coaching styles?
Generally, business is business. Business principles are across the board. I think in the difference between not-for-profit and thing is the biggest difference, obviously. A lot of the issues are around getting volunteers, the personnel side of it, because one, it tends to be, the salaries are less in that area. And it's not like, if you've got all these volunteers in the not-for-profit, and they're not on the payroll, you can't tell them what to do. So there's a lot of encouragement, there's a lot of feedback you've got to give, acknowledgement, and things of that nature. I think those that in my mind, that those are the main differences that you have to cope. But across the board, okay, fundraising is like sales. In one fundraising on the other, sales on the other. So all those fundamentals are the same. Maybe a few of the details are different, but in coaching, not really. It remains pretty much the same. Yes. Go ahead.
So here you say that one of your challenges is convincing people that coaching is a valuable thing. So I think as a good starting point for that, how do you find that you are getting new clients? Where are most of your clients coming from?
Good point. Of course, you could turn this around and say, why am I not getting good clients? Well, I'm not doing a good job in marketing. I mean, you could turn it around that way. I've tried several avenues. But I'm just finding, I was in the Business Journal for 7 weeks in a row. And people get calling me up and say, hey, I saw your ad. I said, well, why aren't you calling me? So the biggest area I'm getting from is word of mouth. That's the biggest thing. Getting the word out there. And this obviously is a great venue for that. I think that's the thing. And again, this whole concept, I think, of coaching itself, to get that message across, to see, it's almost an it is an investment rather than an expense. You're investing in yourself when you get a coach. I think that's really important. But the biggest challenge I have, and to answer your question, is how do you get the word out there that this coaching is a good thing, and it's an investment, and so on and so forth.
Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. I think we're over here. My name's RD. I'm right here, on your right. There we go.
Oh, sorry. You
yeah,
there?
it's okay.
Sorry, who the heck's
I can be
talking?
taller. I can stand on the chair. My name's RD. I'm with Mighty Sharp, a creative agency here in Springfield.
Sorry, I'm not getting that. I'm not. Can you translate for that?
That's okay. I'm just introducing myself. I'll
Okay,
hold it a little
good.
further. And bear with me as I try to phrase this question, because I know your clients who come to you all have a desire to improve something about themselves in order to be successful. But that doesn't always go hand in hand with the motivation to do the hard work or to do the things that are necessary that you might prescribe. And I know you deal with a lot of different personalities. I wondered if you could speak to motivation and how often that motivation, does all of that motivation have to come from the client, or do you find that you are that you're able to help motivate them like a coach might do to take those steps and follow up with them and keep after them to get those things done?
We're talking about motivation more than anything. Is that what
right.
we're saying?
The motivation coming from you or from them or from both? Thank you.
Okay, from the client side, the motivation is usually, I got a problem, a business problem, not an individual problem. And as you coach the client, you get into the relationship, you really start understanding the client more. And so it really starts with a with an issue that they have, and you're solving that problem. And at the same time, you're understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the clients. And then with some subtlety, unless they're making really crazy decisions, you come alongside and say, maybe we should try this, try this, try that, try this, okay? So, and then from my side, again, the hook has to be the business problem. But you can get into how you're coaching someone. As you're talking, as you get the relationship going, you become more aware of the client's deficiencies. And to some degree, after this moves on into a further deeper relationship with the client, you're essentially doing some life coaching. That's really what it comes to. And you stop at life coaching, you don't do therapy, because one, we're not licensed for that. Therapy gets into why did you make this stupid decision based on something you did when you were 12 years old. We don't want to get into any of that kind of stuff, okay? So, yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi, Colin.
Hi there.
Thank you for doing this presentation today. I think this is a really important conversation for people to have, and
Thank you.
And I think one of the things that people don't realize is that I work within a circle of people. I have always had a coach of some form. It's kind of like the people that I've run around with are other entrepreneurs, and it's not just Springfield, Missouri, and they're always like, if you don't have a coach, you're not moving forward. So I think one of the ways that you might be able to kind of expand your business is like, how could you not have a coach? Like, this is going to help you exponentially, you know. And the other thing is online, there's a lot of business coaches. I sort of follow a number of people, but there are very, very few individuals like yourself that have the amazing experience. There's a lot of people that have put their shingle out and they just, oh, I'm a coach, I'm a business coach or life coach or whatever. It's like, great. But this guy, if you don't know Colin, he is amazing. So make him your coach.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Shannon Locke, and
Hi.
my question is, you mentioned having an exit strategy. So tell us a little bit about where you think your business is growing to, and when you decide to retire again, how that will look.
To some degree, an exit strategy is your vision for the next 4 or 5, 6 years. It depends on where you are in the growth of your company. You know, if you're just starting up, you probably got a 5-year plan where you want to be, or you should have a 5-year plan where you want to be. But often you're just bailing the boat and you haven't got that vision. So you need the vision, and then when you got going, I think it's always good to have an exit strategy. What's the ultimate goal? Do you want to sell it? Or do you want to do an ESOP with your employees to get out? I mean, where are you in that cycle? And I think it's very important that you should have it. It could be a vision, but it also should be an exit strategy. An exit strategy is, you know, how are you going to cash out? That's really what you should be doing. Does that answer your question?
I want to know what yours is.
Oh, mine is. I've already done that so many times. You know, but you can't help yourself. So, but as I said, this coaching is really something that I can do when I want to do it, and so I'm just going to keep on going until my mind totally goes, okay, or my hearing totally goes. So I mean, I'm just going to keep going like that because I really, really, really enjoy, and in a sense, it gives me the opportunity to give back, you know, from what I've. All the experience I have, all the mistakes I've made. I just don't want other people making those same mistakes when I can just say, hey, don't do that, you know, do something alternative.
All right, we've got time for 2 more short questions.
Yes.
Hi, Colin. Thanks
Hi.
for coming today. I had a quick question. You talked about personal coaching and individual coaching, but do you do any type of coaching for entrepreneurship for an office where there's 2, 3, 4 people that kind of wear all the hats and you kind of come in and help define roles and stabilize growth?
I focused on individuals because honestly, I'll fess up here. I'm an introvert at heart. Okay, I can turn it on when I need to. So I work best one-on-one. I can come into a company and do a small team, coach a small team as a team, or I can come in and do individuals within the team. But I don't generally get into, when you get more than 2 or 3 people, you get into corporate training at that point, where you're trying to maybe change a culture or improve communications and things of that nature. So yes, I can do some of that, but generally it's one-on-one.
So quick question again is, do you find that most of your clients are searching for your services, or do you generally have to convince them the value of coaching for each time?
No, once they've called, it's pretty much, they know what they want. They've read all the stuff on my website of how I do it, what I do, and the things, and they've seen some of the testimonials, okay? So once they've got that, and they usually, as I said before, have a specific issue they want to address. And so that's the hook. You deal with that, and then you move on from there.
Colin, we always like to wrap up with, what can we as a community do for you?
Get the word out. I mean, really, help people understand what coaching is, and it's really, and it shouldn't be intimidating. It should be somewhere where you can really, really help somebody come back to be the best they can be. That's what I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rose.
Colin, thanks. Our goal at 1 Million Cups is to help grow the entrepreneurial community. Thank you all for being a part of this here with us. We want to highlight some of our community partners, ways to connect in the community. I'm going to try to move slow enough you can catch it on social media. Here are some things going on in your neck of the woods. Is it? No? Okay. 31st annual Bowl for Kids' Sake. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of the Ozarks. BigBro.com/bowl. Our friend Tyler Moles over there. We also have, when you walk in, we have our guitar player, O'Neill. Are you in here somewhere? O'Neill, right here, right here. He plays the guitar. On the harmonica, the man of many talents. He has a concert, 9 o'clock, at Nathan P. Murphy's on Campbell Avenue. Make sure that you connect with him July 9th. Thank you for what you do, O'Neill. Always glad to have you. The Reinvestor Group, their main monthly meeting, the third Thursday of each month, over at Hilton Garden Inn. First-time guests are free. I love these guys. When they come, don't they fire you up and make you want to go buy a house or vacation rental or something of the sort? Refine M. Trainings at refinem.com. Ozark Regional Agile User Group, July 8th. Project Management Professional Exam Prep, August 1st through the 4th. You can register at their website. The E-Factory, if you have a fat stack of cash, you're looking for a way to get a great tax credit. They've been awarded $75,000. You can get a hold of Brian Kincaid at MissouriState.edu. Generally in the crowd, Brian, are you out there somewhere? Oh, back here in the corner, track down the sharpest dude in the room, and he will tell you where you can put your money. Scholar Prep, College and Scholarship Planning Essentials course. If you have kids that are in high school, going into high school, this is genius. This is a way to maximize on their effort during high school so that they can get the most out of scholarships. Jordan Shanda, you can reach out to her directly. You can go to their website and make sure that you take part of this. It's an online course, easy to get to. OSTEAM. Always love OSTEAM in the crowd. Organizational meeting, Friday, July 15th. You always hear her mention OSTEAM, but raise your hand up. Right here, our friend at OSTEAM. If you want to connect with a great innovative group, this is it. You have an announcement. Send your logo, contact info to springfieldmo@1millioncups.com. We have a 1 Million Cup blog, The Refill Station. You can find it on Medium. Find and follow 1 Million Cups on all social media. Join the conversation. If you see Twitter fall going over here on the left, all you have to do is hashtag 1MCSGF or at 1MCSGF to join the conversation. If you have an announcement going on in whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you hashtag it. Throw it up right now for us. We'd love it. And local famous, Paul Adler, where are you at? In the crowd, back here. KY3, thanks for coming out and hanging with us. You make us feel a little more important. And we all need that. You know someone who should present, or if you would make a great presentation, what we're looking for is we're looking for businesses within their first 5 years. Maybe if you're a little bit further than that, but you're doing something new or innovative. Make sure that you reach out to us. You can go to 1millioncups.com/Springfield and apply. And a lot of you, when you apply, you think that it's going to be 6 or 8 months before you can get in to present, and it's possible. But likely you're going to be able to get in quicker than that. So apply. It's only 6 to 8 minutes of terror, followed by 20 minutes of question and answer. Most of you, if you can deal with spiders, you can deal with public speaking. Get up here and present. It's a great way to get good feedback. Always a great way to connect with a great audience. Now, our friends at iimune, let's give them a hand.
On camera?
we met 2 days ago.
We'll let you handle that.
All right, I'll just hold it. That will take up my nervous energy. So anyway, thank you. Thanks for being here. I have a fan club in the middle, so thank you guys. I'm Dr. Carrie Miller. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've lived in Springfield for 30 plus years. I graduated nursing school from Burge. That's Cox for all of you people that don't know. In 1989, I obtained a master's degree in 1998 and became a nurse practitioner and have practiced in Springfield for the last 20 plus years. In 2009, I went back to school to get a doctorate degree, and I was accepted to Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore. It was an amazing experience. And I also have a degree from Harvard, or a certificate, in global health effectiveness. So you might wonder why at almost 50 years old I decided to jump ship and become an entrepreneur into a business that I knew nothing about. So my purpose today is to kind of explain to you guys my why and then a little bit about my how. How did I do it? So to preface this, you know, Mark Twain said the 2 most important days of your life are the day that you're born and the day you figure out why. And I think that I figured out my why. When I went back to school at Johns Hopkins, well, first I had to apply to Johns Hopkins. So just to make this a little bit more human, I think I'm pretty smart. And I tell my husband all the time how smart I am. But, you know, and my resume is just loaded with Hopkins and Harvard and all these great things. But just to put it into context and to let you know that I really am humbled, when I applied to Johns Hopkins, you know, I was a nurse from Springfield, Missouri. And so I was really nervous about it, but we set up a phone interview. And I decided that that morning I was going to take a shower, get dressed, put on a suit, and just be really ready for the interview, like I was there in person. Well, this is how smart I am. My phone call was scheduled for 9 a.m. So at about 8 o'clock in the morning, I jump in the shower to get ready. I only need an hour, right? I have short hair. It's not that big a deal. I no longer got into the shower, and the phone rang. And I was like, oh, my God, they're on Eastern Standard Time. So needless to say, I did the entire interview on a landline in my kitchen, naked. I have no idea what I said because at the same time I remembered that, and our house is all glass, but we lived in the woods, so that's not a problem. But at the same time, I remembered that I had told the invisible fence guy that our fence wasn't working, and I had given him the code to the gate to get in, and I was like, oh crap, he's gonna show up. So that was all I was thinking about, so I had a dish rag across my chest. So that's how smart I am. You know, I'm smart enough to go to Hopkins and I'm smart enough to go to Harvard, but I'm not smart enough to know the difference between Eastern Standard Time and Central Standard Time. But when I did go to Hopkins, what I did was we have to choose a focus. And so I decided to focus on a global health issue because I've spent 14 years volunteering as a medical provider in Nicaragua, practiced in Kenya, and I did a week-long stint, 4 days post-Katrina. So that's my passion, and I decided that I wanted to focus on how to stop death from dehydration in these kids in Nicaragua. So if anybody knows anything about global health, dehydration kills millions of kids every year, and it's unnecessary. The World Health Organization has developed an oral rehydration formula that's been in existence for now 50 years. So it's a dry powder that you mix with water, and it's as effective as an IV in curing dehydration. So I developed a program. I worked with the country of Nicaragua and a not-for-profit organization, Project Hope, here out of Springfield. And for my 2-year project at Hopkins, designed a community health worker program where we educated caregivers and health workers on how to take care of these kids. So in essence, I became, this is all relevant, I promise. So in essence, I became an expert in oral rehydration therapy. So that's part of my significant background. In 2013, we started the company Make People Better. So to move it forward, while I was practicing, or while I was at school at Johns Hopkins, I was still practicing medicine and internal medicine at Mercy. And those are adult patients, and internal medicine is kind of a higher level. So these people have multiple problems and multiple issues. But what I started noticing was that my patients at Mercy had the same problems as the people that I was taking care of in Nicaragua. These people were dehydrated, and they were experiencing issues associated to their immune function, right? So poor gut function, just poor immune response. And they were really struggling to get better. Oh, well, that went too fast. Okay. This was 2009, so this was at the height of the Affordable Care Act. And this is significant because as a provider working with a big hospital system, all of a sudden we were tasked with paying better attention to how we were managing our patients, right? Because the Affordable Care Act encouraged all of us to do a better job of taking care of patients and do it for less money. And we started to recognize that 1 in 6 people who are admitted to the hospital will be readmitted within 30 days. And that's significant, and I don't think that the public is really aware of that. All of us in medicine, we're aware of that because it's in front of us all the time. But what the government found was that a lot of these readmissions are preventable. And so they really started to put the screws on us and say, okay, well, if any of these people that are readmitted with a preventable problem, we're not going to pay you. So hospitals and physicians started losing reimbursement on these patients who were readmitted for preventable problems. So I looked at the problem and I said, why are these patients being readmitted? And there was a study that came out in 2013 from Yale. And they looked at over 1 million hospital readmissions in Medicare patients. And what they found was that these patients were not being readmitted for the problem that got them in the hospital in the first place, but they were being readmitted for issues related to dehydration, malnutrition, poor immune response, and secondary infections, all of which are non-reimbursable. And they kind of packaged all of this together, and they called it post-hospital syndrome. And that's when it hit me. That's when I knew that I could do something about this. That's when I knew my why. That's when I knew why every single experience that I've had in my entire career led to this. So it was pretty cool. So what do I do about it? Well, you can ask my husband, bless his heart. I mean, I went through that doctorate program. Our dining room was covered with research for years. I took about a year off, and then I went back to the dining room table with research and ended up creating the first hydrobiotic formula. And what's so cool about this, and this is really advanced technology, is that I created a formula that combined 50 years of hydration science with the new and emerging science in gut health and immune support. So we have this technology that is not only equal to an IV as far as clinical rehydration, but also contains probiotics, ginger root, zinc, and other immune supporting ingredients. So now to move forward on, that was my why. Now we're going to go to my how. And we created our first hydrobiotic product called Reimmune. We launched this product in August of 2014. And since then, it's just been a whirlwind, really. I mean, just crazy. But Reimmune is a box that contains 10 sachets. And inside, there's dry powder that you mix with water and drink. It has 14 different probiotics, a prebiotic, which is really our secret sauce, and I'll get into that just a little bit later. And it's completely sugar-free, so it's safe for all diabetics. So everybody wants to know, how does a nurse go develop a product? Well, I don't really know. All I know is that the right people showed up at the right time and in the right place, and I just kept asking a lot of questions. But we outsource almost everything. We start with our global sourcing. That is one place where I'm heavily involved. But then we move to our manufacturer. So we currently manufacture this in Phoenix, Arizona with a company called Best Life Pharma Naturals. And then from there, I have to have this stuff tested, because every batch that we produce has to be tested to make sure that it is what it says it is. And we're lucky enough, you know, when I first started, I used a company out in New York, but now that Dynamic DNA is here, and Austin O'Reilly and that lab, they have incredible technology, so they're able to do our testing for us. We moved around with some logistics companies, but we have settled on a company out of Bentonville, K-Stack, and so they do our warehousing and are part of our logistics piece. We also partnered with SPS Commerce, which does our EDI, which means it's just like behind the scenes ordering. You can ask our accountant, it doesn't really work that well, but they say it does, so we use that. And then from our warehouse, it's shipped out to either our retailers or our wholesalers. So the global sourcing piece, the secret sauce and why our product works so well is because the prebiotic that we use, which is, if you don't know what a prebiotic is, it's basically Miracle-Gro for the healthy gut bacteria. So the healthier your gut is with the good bacteria, the better prepared it's going to be to fight off disease. So our prebiotic, this is great, our prebiotic comes from the agave tequila plant. So while I was at my kitchen table with the research piled high, and I jumped up one day and told my husband, oh my God, tequila's gonna save us all. And after being with the same person for 31 years, we've had a few issues over tequila. So it was pretty, exciting. But I do go to Guadalajara, Mexico, in the state of Jalisco, where the tequila is grown, and have been able to establish relationships with the organic agave growers. And, you know, so I'm competing against tequila makers for this product. So the relationship is really important, and I'm really proud of the fact that I have great relationships there. I love it there. I know a lot about tequila, but I know more about agave as a prebiotic. I participated in the International Agave Symposium. I've worked with researchers from Austria and all over the world that really look into the science. And so how this works is that a prebiotic is basically an undigestible carbohydrate. So when you consume it, it doesn't do anything until it hits your intestines. And then once it hits the intestines, the environment is right for it to start to ferment. But what's cool about this prebiotic that's different than anything else on the market is that it has a really long half-life. So it not only does the good stuff in the top of the intestine, but it makes it all the way through your intestine, and there's not another product like that. So I saw a problem. I came up with a solution. I figured out how we were going to package it, what it was going to look like, all of these things. But then I needed to figure out, well, who the heck's going to sell this, right? Because I'm telling all these doctors and nurse practitioners and consumers that they need to go and buy this, but where are they going to go and get it? So we spent, and just remember, we launched August of 2014. So we spent all of 2015 getting these distribution partners. And the very first contract that we signed was with Walmart. And everyone asked me, how did you get into Walmart? Well, I got in my Subaru and I drove to Bentonville. That's how I did it. And it was awesome. And they have continued to be an amazing partner. They're easy to work with. They're transparent, so they're great. And over the course of the year, we have picked up contracts with all of the major drug wholesalers. So those include companies like AmerisourceBergen, Cardinal Health, McKesson. We're in some grocery chains. And our biggest news is that May of this year, we hit the shelf in every Target across the country. So we can now say that we have nationwide distribution. So go to Target. So who's our team and how did we do it? Those are all girls, if you didn't notice. And you know what? That wasn't that I didn't like only seek out women, but it just is what happened. So I started the company. I worked on it. When I decided it was going to be a business, the first person that I talked to was Mary McGee. Mary is a nurse from here in town. She actually worked for me for free for a couple of months until I could actually get some money and afford to pay her. And Mary's amazing, and she's been there from the very beginning. And then I quickly went to, I don't know how to manage money, so don't tell anybody, honey, but I don't know very well. I know more now, a lot more. But I went to Kaylee York. I watched Kaylee play basketball when she was a youngster, and she's just an amazing person. So we do outsource our accounting and logistics, but Kaylee's like family to us. And then in December of 2015, we hired Rebecca Long for marketing. And just last month, I finally hired a director of operations, Alyssa Lindsay. And then if you look on the other side, we also have a business in Mexico. Because of all of the work that we do in Mexico and because of the agave and everything else, it made sense for us to have distribution in Mexico. So Araceli Hanks is the president of our subsidiary company, Make People Better Latin America. And Gabriela Loaiza is our marketing director there. So everything that we do is bilingual, our packaging, our website, everything. And then the creative genius behind all of our design and the reason that we've made it this far comes from a foreign exchange student that went to Kickapoo High School. Her name is Zerka, and she currently lives in the UK, but she's German, and she's traveled all over the world, and she's just awesome.
Carrie, we need to wrap it up. We're not,
okay.
We've got lots of questions.
Oh my God. Okay, this is the rest of our
are...
team. I do want to make a few call outs. We use Springfield First Community Bank. So as an entrepreneur, it is so important to have a bank that you can trust and you can call. So I highly recommend that. And then the biggest thing that we do is we donate 1 serving for every box that we sell. We partnered with Convoy of Hope, and to date we've donated 80,000 servings of Reimmune. And in the developing world, this product saves lives. So it's been really incredible. Okay.
Thank you so much. Sorry we had to cut you off there, Carrie. We do have some more questions out here from the audience. Again, just make sure you raise your hand, stand up for to be speaking, and we'll bring you a mic. Thanks. Here we go, right here.
Hi, Carrie. Great presentation. I really enjoyed it, and it's great that you're addressing what's been a problem for a long time. Have you thought about doing it for animals?
It's funny you said that. So if I had like another hour, I'd go into all of this. But what's next for us is, yes, we've already done some clinical. We have a sample product for animals, and we've had people that use our product in cats, dogs, horses, most recently a couple of calves. So we're actually building our animal health line, and this technology will apply to every animal. We even have someone who used it on reptiles. So So yes, thank you.
Jake?
Yeah, so it looks like you were going to touch on it, but I'm curious. It sounds like you're doing very, very well for yourself, but what are some of the challenges that your business has been facing so far?
So, you know, I mean, it started from the very beginning. How much are you going to charge for it? How many sachets are you going to put in a box? Learning all the ins and outs of retail, right? What are all these contracts like? Do you have to sign your life away to do business with Target? So we started with a broker rep group. That lasted, probably about 6 months, and we quickly figured out that we were much better at negotiating these contracts ourselves than through a broker rep group. So that was a challenge. You know, where do we belong on the shelf? That's been our biggest challenge, because these buyers want to know, well, where do we put you? Do we put you in the probiotics? Do we put you in the hydration? Where do you go? And we still haven't really found a home. I do feel real confident about where we're at Target, and we are in the natural and immune section because that makes sense for our product. It's next to Airborne and Emergency. Both of those brands pull in over $100 million a year, so it's a little competitive in that space. So that's been a challenge. And then just getting out more flavors, you know, making it taste good. This stuff is loaded with L-glutamine and sodium, and it's really hard to flavor a product like that. So working with international flavor specialists and just, I mean, you name it, every day there's another challenge. And you know, what's next for us is that we've been able to do this on a friends and family raise. Everybody wants to know how you get your money and where you get your money. But what's next for us and what's immediately in front of me is finding the right strategic partner. And they're out there. I've traveled all around the country, met all kinds of amazing people. But finding the one that fits with me and that fits with us, that has money, a lot of it, and expertise. Because two of my competitors that started at the same time I did, and I say competitors, they're in the OTC space, each company raised over $20 million. We all launched in 2014, and I'm the last man standing, and I didn't raise anywhere close to that. So, you know, we raised under $1 million. So big money is awesome, but, you know, it scared me. How do you blow through $20 million in a year and a half and not be left standing? So I'm very cautious about how we move forward.
Carrie, is this something that you would take every day or just after you leave the hospital? What's your recommendation? And how is it better for you than water?
I set her up for those two questions. So the first question, you know, obviously I'm a clinician. I developed this because of the hospital issue and because patients were struggling to recover. But we quickly found out that from the people that were buying our product and using our product, they use it on a daily basis. So multiple reasons, you know, dehydration and poor intestinal immune function affect all of us at some point in our life. 80 million of us will have diarrhea and gastroenteritis and stomach flu and all these issues. So yes, you can take it every day. How is it different than water? It's the formula. The formula pairs L-glutamine, sodium, which attaches to water, which pulls it straight into the intestine. So you don't have the free water issue. It's what we call isotonic. You're not going to run the issue of your sodium going too low or your sodium going too high. So it's about the equivalent of 4 to 5 glasses of water.
Great, we've got time for 2 more questions right here in the front.
So do you only maintain the positive benefits of it if you are taking it? Or is it something that will prompt your system to re-regulate and then you can have those benefits long-term without continuing to take it?
Yeah, that's another excellent question. So to answer that, yes, this is an episodic product. Being a clinician, you know, I ran into patients all the time who were constantly taking supplements and all kinds of things, and there's really not a lot of evidence that a lot of that stuff works. So what I wanted to do was to create something to help them get over the hump, and then we tell everybody, as soon as you're back to being hydrated and you get your gut back in check, eat a normal diet, drink water, go on with your life. But, you know, when you start to feel it going down, then you've got something you can go to and use as needed.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. I had some thoughts about the what's next as far as where you're placed in Target, and I was thinking, have you guys ever considered competing with the sports drink thing for the pre-made, ready to go? You know, I'd rather drink that than Gatorade.
So a couple of issues on that, and I'll touch on the pre-made thing first. Being a global health provider and being all around the world, there's enough plastic bottles in this world, and I didn't want to create any more. So I just made the strategic decision early on that this was going to be a dry powder, and there were plenty of water bottles around for people to mix it. So the answer is no. You know, to this point, I haven't been convinced that we need to make this in a ready-to-made. And then if you go back to the sports, that was another strategic decision that we made early on, was this is a clinical product, right? And it was created to help people get better. And I did not want to come out of the gate and compete against a company like Gatorade. I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me. So strategically, we're not going to focus on things like hangover, sports, all of those things. And we get all of these questions all the time. We're going to stay focused because that's really been our biggest challenge, is focus, because this is a product that applies to everything. Can I take it if I have cancer? Yes, we have cancer patients on it. Can I take it if I just want to? Yes, you can. You know, so focus has been a really big issue for us. And we're going to continue to narrow that focus for the next year. But, you know, the biggest thing that we're going to do, which is a big risk, is going up against Pedialyte. So we're going to launch this pediatric product hopefully in September. It's just about all ready to go. We finally got a flavor that was kid acceptable and kid tested, which was a lot of fun. You should test things with kids. Oh, my God. You want to talk about honesty, they're pretty honest. So we're real excited about that, but that's also, you know, a challenge, and so it's going to be key on the strategic partner that we pick to help us do that.
Dr. Carey, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
A round of applause. You know the favorite question that we always ask: what can we as a community do for you in Reimmune?
Share our story. You know, please, I mean, literally, like, get your phone out right now, go to Facebook, and like and share. You know, our success so far has been off of word of mouth because we really haven't had the money or the budget to do some of these major marketing things. We do some digital marketing, which has been pretty cool, but word of mouth has sustained us this far. So please just share our story.
Thank you. Thank you guys for spending another Wednesday morning with us. As Craig said during announcements, our goal here at 1 Million Cups is really to help grow the entrepreneurial community here in Springfield. And I don't know if Jonathan mentioned this at the beginning, but there's a 1 Million Cups in over 80 locations across the world, and you guys are at the third largest right now. So we made a strategic move. We started at the E Factory. It was a great location. We kind of outgrew it, and we made a strategic move to move here to the Art Museum so we could grow this audience, because this is really the value that these entrepreneurs get by being up here. So we meet here every Wednesday morning, a lot of new faces, so I hope you guys come back every Wednesday morning. Doors open at 8:30. Bring a friend. Encourage an entrepreneur that you know to come up here and take advantage of this platform, and go out, have an awesome week. Thanks for coming.
Colin, thanks so much for being here today. Okay. I really do think that everything does sound smarter in a British accent. My grandma's a Kiwi, and she always sounded really smart to me, so you, of course, do.
You sound more erudite than you probably are, but that's okay.
Well, you hit on this a little bit earlier, kind of saying no one's too small, and kind of talk about the return on investment for some of these small guys who make the leap and do it.
Well, yeah, a lot of the people who make that leap really think they're too small and they can't afford the investment in a coach. But the Litskis particularly have proved that to be wrong, and they have stated that they couldn't have got where they are now without that coaching ability.
Great, thank you. Well, we always want to end with the same question, and you answered it in there, but if you want to answer it a different way this time, you can. What can we as a community do to help you?
It really is getting the word out there. Coaching seems to be somewhat of a mystery to people, and I think if we just get the word out and get the leads from that, I can take it from there.
Cool. Well, check the links in the doobly-doo below and find out more information for McAllister Coaching. Thank you so much. We're here with Carrie Miller. Did a great presentation today talking about Reimmune. What a fascinating product. It really was very encouraging to see you going from that research academia role into the wide waters of entrepreneurship, and we're here with you. I sympathize. Now, I had a question for you. Up there, you mentioned that iimune is good for animals. Talk a little bit about that.
You know, it kind of came about organically. So when we launched our product, we started talking to buyers, and we were trying to find distributors. And one of our buyers is actually a horse rancher. And she brought it to our attention and said, I need this product for my horses. And so it dawned on me, I'm like, well, our research is in rats, it works in animals. And so it just kind of started organically from there. Other people said, can I give this to my dog? Can I give this to my cat? So I did some more research. The answer is yes, it's safe in all.
Principle's the same?
Principle is exactly the same. So yeah, it's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, of course, we want to hear about your experience at 1 Million Cups, and what can we as a community be doing to help you?
So, you know, the opportunity to present here really helps me hone in on my story. It allows me the opportunity to share with the community. And what can the community do for me? You know, it's been an amazing.
You don't need anything, right?
No, I do. Share my story. Share my story. Go to Target. That's the other thing. But not just Target, but every pharmacy in Springfield carries our product, and the support has been overwhelming. So just continue to support us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.